Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Full Melt.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Oh, it is time to crack at it. It is time to get to work. It is time to get going. You gotta get up and get going. You can't hear it. Oh man. Hey, welcome to another edition of the Full Melt program. It is Thursday. That is right. Approaching the holiday weekend, this will be the last program of the show this week as we get ready to rub our grubby hands together and grill out on the porch and hang out, watch the fireworks and family and travel and all that stuff. Fighting people for gasoline at the pump. You know the routine. Happens every year. Welcome to the PetPain.com studios, where we broadcast live from 7 until 8 p.m. every Monday through Friday on normal weeks. Holiday weeks, maybe not so much. Holiday weeks, we might take a holiday. What are you doing this 4th of July holiday? I know what they're doing in Oregon, I'll tell you that. They just had that big celebration up under the bridge, 5,000 people strong. They only expected a few hundred to show up to celebrate legal weed in Oregon. I don't know. What is the name of that dang bridge? I don't even want to look it up. I'm so tired of looking stuff up, I can't see straight. I can see straighter now. I got contact lenses that work again. I can see clearly now. The fog is gone. Throw those away. You don't need fogged up contact lenses or glasses to see the smoke in the air. You don't have messed up glasses or contacts if you're in Oregon and can't see for the fog, because that is not fog. It is indeed smoke. I'm telling you, it's actually, not only is it relieving to watch this stuff happen across the country, as it happens for me, because, I've known the truth about this stuff for a long time. This is harmless. A lot of people would argue with me that it's not harmless. Cannabis, when it comes to, overall goods and bads, I would actually put in the good category. I wouldn't put it in the bad category. Not at all. Oh, but Mr. Green, you don't even know you don't know. You can't say that for sure. It's not bad. We haven't studied it. Bullshit, we haven't studied it. I mean, come on. How about you look back over the history of cannabis use for the past, couple, 3 decades? How about the last 100 years? How about the last couple thousand years that man has interacted with cannabis and hasn't had a calamity? I would say that the biblical happenings about, the floods and the fires and all that's, none of it's due to cannabis. Not one of those calamities, tragedies, pestilences, or other biblical tragedies, invasions of bugs, etc., occurred due to cannabis. In fact, I would say if it was a little more prevalent at the time, if people knew a little bit more about the science of cannabis at the time, may have prevented many of those issues. Probably not the floods. And Sodom and Gomorrah might have still gone down in flames. I'm just saying. But, in the longer run, when you watch this stuff happen across the country, not only is there some relief, some gratification to see that people are getting their political due. Because none of this happened magically. None of these opinions changed by themselves. None of this stuff happened just poof. Somebody opened up a cork and the genie climbed out of the bottle. It didn't work that way. This has been a long, arduous, slow, painful task. And if I reel back out if you looked at my life like a tape measure, if I pulled that tape measure all the way out to extend back to the beginning of my life, at least my reporting career, my earliest remembrance of interaction with Normal was as a young reporter in the Cleveland area. Actually, they sent me outside of the Cleveland area to Kent State. Went down to Kent State to cover the Normal protest that was happening on Kent State property. And let me tell you, I was very surprised at the time, and this was circa 1995? Circa 95 or 6 at the latest. Had to be 95. They send me out there to, hey, send Green out there to cover that pot store. There's I was like, well, cool. I get to drive for a while. I get away from the building. Get away from sticking microphones into the faces of Cleveland, Cavaliers fans leaving the stadium, or Cleveland Indians fans playing Yankees. There was always some main beats, and it's like, oh, I got to do Indians again. It was nice, a breakaway to go out there and cover those guys at Normal. And to me, it was kind of a foreign concept. Although I was familiar with marijuana, I had tried marijuana. Marijuana had already been introduced into my lifestyle at various points along the way. I already knew what was going on with this. I certainly didn't view it as anything dangerous, and neither did these students. There were a crap ton of them at the time. You got to remember, this is pre-1996. 96 is when they passed the first medical marijuana thing in California. That was the real first movement that had any traction across the country. It's been long before then. Normal's some 40-plus years old. They've been working at this for a long time. So it's nice to see them get their political due as this, rolls across the country. And it is like, what are those things called? What is that dust storm? The dust storm that crawls across the country, and, they have them over in the sandy countries. The a Lahara? That's what it is, a Lahara. Thanks, Bob. Bob's not here. I'm just pretending Bob's here. A Lahara. Yeah, it's like a Lahara rolling across with manifest destiny, the continental United States. Okay, not only the continental, all of the United States, including Puerto Rico and, U.S. territories, the Virgin Islands, etc. Virgin Islands are British, aren't they? I don't know. I haven't got my geology straight recently. Not geology, but what's the other one? Where the maps. Yeah. I'm spent, I tell you. I'm spent because all this stuff is swirling about me like a tornado. Maybe you just catch glimpses and pieces of it, or, listen to shows like this and, see the TV news, or maybe watch some of those reality shows about marijuana. I am immersed in it like a piece of chicken in soup. I mean, every day. And as it changes, as it flows, there is not only relief, there is not only information, there is not only massive change, but there is comedy. Yes, it's rather funny to see some of this stuff happen. Look, there were a lot of people that weren't expecting a big turnout at the bridge in, and I got to find the name of the bridge. I'm going to make it my due to find the name of the bridge during the break. They didn't expect a big turnout out there, but that's not what happened. It was a massive celebration, as it should be. There are a lot of people still, this is not something that is going to be not very painful. This kind of transformation, when it takes place, is painful. It's painful to police. It's painful to citizens. It's painful to the rest of, government. I mean, they toil with this stuff. They're used to a system. All of a sudden, you throw cogs and, monkey wrenches in the gears, and suddenly, things aren't grinding smoothly anymore. There are definitely going to be some unintended consequences as a result of all of this monkeying with law. And I don't even like to put it in that context. I think it's proper adjustment of law. A lot of the naysayers, a lot of the prohibitionists, current and former, would say that, monkeying, that's an understatement, monkeying. This is a massive experiment in social culture that is going to blow up in your face. That's what they would say. I would say that most of America is laughing at those people as they drag their feet through the mud and attempt to drag others back into the mud. I think most of America has climbed out of that cesspool and cleaned up, if you ask me, on account of the hillbilly and me coming out, I guess. Lots of stuff to talk about on today's show. Amongst them, this whole business with, people are still talking about packaging edibles. And there's a lot of, and you're going to see a lot more of this happen as it does be notable. It's going to be more newsworthy. Couple of main things to watch out for. Three main points to watch out for as this changes further across the country. Because we've got most of it right now, right? 2016, I think, is going to be a massive wave of change on the heels of this fall when you see places like Ohio do this. Ohio's probably going to do it, but probably not going to do it. What does that mean? Well, if you've been listening to the show, you know what that means. Responsible Ohio putting on what many would consider a monopoly interest on the ballot this year to legalize marijuana for both medical and recreational purposes. Limits grows to 10 sites, all of which are controlled by people investing in the passage of that initiative. The problem there, the legislature says, is, whoa, wait a minute. We're going to introduce RJ4. HRJ4. HRJ4 says we're going to place, as a legislature, an issue on the ballot which will take precedent over the Responsible Ohio initiative, whether or not it is voted into law. Reason being, legislative initiatives go into effect immediately. Ballot drives take 30 days. Therefore, the ban put in place by HRJ4 against enshrining winners and losers of business or limiting business in constitutional amendments, it would go into effect immediately. It would trump all effects of Responsible Ohio. That's what that means. They're going to do it, but they're not going to do it. And then, watch out for the high rollers. I've been saying it all along. Russ, you're going to have to check me on this, Russ Belville, because he doesn't agree. He says Responsible Ohio is going to get it done. I think he's wrong. Ohioans to end prohibition going to win in 2016 along with Michigan.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Canalock.com. Visit Canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571. 571.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with Max Power Monster Aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
Get the beach bong ready for sunshine and sandy beaches in Negril, Jamaica this November as the High Times Cannabis Cup moves from Amsterdam to the Caribbean. Your trip starts with the absolute best rates on airfare, hotel, events, and all your Cannabis Cup travel needs at TravelCannabisCup.com. Come stay with us, relax in the sun, play in the sand, and smoke down with the cool people, man. Get to the High Times Jamaica Cannabis Cup. Best travel prices right now at TravelCannabisCup.com.
This summer, discover the one place where your family will create unforgettable memories. Welcome to Jurassic World. Welcome to Jurassic World. Welcome to Jurassic World. Welcome to Jurassic World. Rated PG-13.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Okay, I said I was going to do it during the break. I looked it up. It's in Oregon, the place where they were celebrating the new legality of marijuana. Thousands deep crowding a sidewalk and a walkway at the Burnside Bridge. I don't know, apropos is the name of that bridge. You couldn't hear it before. During the open, I was trying to get you to hear this. You better work. Oh, you see, it's too quiet. That's why. There we go. Hey, you better get to it. You better get to it, Green. You better get something going on. It's a whip crack. It's not very good. It's trial and error sometimes with the stuff that makes stuff interesting. That made it just uncomfortable. Couldn't get the whip crack going. There's another, I could have played this. I've tried to spare you this, but now that the whip crack didn't go over so well, I got to, maybe this one. Try this one.
I have one thing to say. You better work.
Yeah, you better work. Oh, enough of that. Well, I got to tell you, let me just digress for a second. So Burnside Bridge, we got that out of the way. We'll talk a little bit more about Oregon if we get the chance to cycle back around here. I'm hoping that Mish from My Compassion will call. He knows that we're trying to get a hold of him. He's in one of these meeting things. We're going with My Compassion in just a few short weeks out here to Chicago to the Navy Pier for the GANA convention, GANA conference. A lot of people out there. It is a medical conference. A lot of struggle lately with, I think, the idea that medical is really getting swamped under by the recreational message, isn't it? Boy, when we did this in California back in the late 90s, nobody talked about recreational marijuana. I think that the term recreational was invented by the media because they didn't know what else to call it. If it's not medicinal, what is it? It's got to be recreational, isn't it? It's just retail. It's just retail cannabis. I mean, everything is recreational, isn't it? Driving your car down the street's recreational. You don't see Ford going, drive our recreational vehicle. I mean, come on. I didn't even like the word recreation. They'd rather hide it in SUV or something like that. Hide the word recreation in there somewhere. Kind of couch it that way. So, I guess the big thing with Chicago is this. I think that it might be getting stomped on by the recreational message that the rest of the world is sending, or at least the rest of the world in the United States. There's a lot of concern. A big story appearing yesterday, a couple stories appearing today about the limited number of medical patients in Chicago. We talked about this yesterday, not just Chicago, but all of Illinois. The entire state has 2,600 medical patients signed up. Industry experts are estimating that it would take 100,000 strong merely to support the infrastructure and industry set up to cater to the medical marijuana crowd. I mean, we're looking at 21 sites across the state, cultivation centers, set up and designed to manufacture, transport, and deliver this drug. I guess this is a double-edged sword. It's another one of these, catch-22 things. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? In Michigan, when we set up our patient registry for medical marijuana cards, it seemed like there was a gold rush to grab, or a green rush, I guess, if you want to put it, to grab a card to get it. I know I was on that bandwagon. I couldn't wait to have some legal protection for cannabis in this state, especially for medical use. So I was one of the first guys signing up. You know, I was pushing, climbing over people to get that card. Defending my turf. Getting it first. In case they ran out or the governor shut the program down or who knows, anything could happen. Give me my damn card. There were a lot of people in Michigan that did that. And we've got, tens of thousands of people registered in the program, either as patients, caregivers, or both. And it's sufficient for the program here. There's enough going around. There are enough patients participating in that program. Now, mind you, in Michigan, we haven't legalized marijuana. Many states haven't legalized medical marijuana. It's a misnomered term applied for ease's sake, for ease of explanation by, I think, a lot of times the media. Just in explaining to you what this is. They only got a short window to get it done, so they put it in the easiest terms they can say, which oftentimes misrepresent or mischaracterize the actuality of what's going on. Example being that, marijuana, and people to this day, I tell patients every single day, prospective patients looking into the medical marijuana program to ease mostly chronic pain, because that seems to be the largest segment of people using cannabis for medical purposes, is a chronic pain issue, which is in Michigan also the hardest issue to defend in court. Oh, yeah, it hurts right there. Why don't you just stop? It hurts when I do this. Why don't you just stop doing that instead of getting your pot there, Mr. Criminal? That's what they'd say in court, see? There's a lot of people that signed up for cards here, enough to support the program. In Chicago and in the rest of Illinois, the world revolves around Chicago and Illinois, in my estimation. As well it should. Chicago has its own gravitational force in not only the state, but the country, for that matter. 2,600 people wouldn't do it in a few counties in Michigan to support the program. I mean, let's face it. But the thing is that it took a lot longer for Illinois to roll out their medical program. It took them a year or so, not quite a year, to just put some rules into place and get those enacted. That was just January of this year. It's been since January that these companies in Illinois have been both getting ready to set up not only the cultivation warehouses, like I said, some 21 of them, but also the dispensaries designed to distribute that product once it comes to market. Question is, when will it come to market? The article I saw today said, October, maybe November, that they're scrambling right now to get these operations up and running. But a couple of months ago, I spoke to somebody in Chicago on this very program at a place that, helps people get their recommendations done. See, in Chicago, they don't give you a card like they do here in Michigan. We get a nice plastic card. It doesn't have your picture on it, but it is a card. In Chicago, they're going to issue, in Illinois, I keep saying Chicago. In Illinois, they're going to issue you a letter. Good luck with toting that thing around to prove that, you're a member of the registry. See if you got any protection there. So back to this thing about protection. It's just this limited immunity for this small group of people under these certain circumstances and conditions that you get immunity in Michigan. They didn't take away the penalties for marijuana. It's still illegal in every way. You just have some immunity from prosecution and sometimes arrest. Or in the case that you don't get that, they still arrest and prosecute you. You would have this thing called, as long as you've got your doctor's certification, you don't have to be registered in the program. You go to court and you say, hey, I am guilty, but I have a reason. It's called an affirmative defense. I'm guilty, but, there's really no punishment attached to my guilt because I have permission. I just got some information. That dude lunking, it wasn't supposed to make that noise. I don't know why, because I guess, I didn't have it on silent. I thought I had it on silent, but I didn't. We might have to talk to Bill Levin. Let me see. What I asked him was, Bill Levin is the preacher out in and marijuana activist for that matter. That's out. Let's see here. Hang on a second. Hold on. We'll get to you in just a second. Hold on. I've got another caller coming in. I think I knew who that is as well. Boy, see how it all converges together while I'm live? We need a show producer. Show producer, please. Bob, can you call a show producer? Oh, wait, there's no Bob. So Bill Levin is that guy that's out there in Indiana saying, look, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act is it gives churches protection, right? No government intrusion, interference in church activities. In this case, it would apply to a medical church, or not necessarily a medical church, a cannabis church. Now they're not worshiping weed like a lot of people think. Boy, it puts a bad face on it, doesn't it? They're not worshiping weed. They're saying weed gets us closer to God. That's what they're saying. Is they use the cannabis in their religious sacraments, in the ceremonies associated with celebrating the Lord. I think it's a smart thing, if you ask me. So I was going to ask Bill Levin as he's answering the phone is buzzing in my hand as we speak. I asked him, look, it's Steve Green. Did you guys end up filing for declaratory relief in court over police threats? Because that's a major national story right there, isn't it? I don't want to reveal what he's texted back to me. There are 4 texts. One of them is all smiley faces, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 smiley faces in a row. 6 smiling faces, 5 golden. No, never mind. This preacher, I want to get back on the show. According to his text here, they're doing a press release next Tuesday on the federal courthouse steps. He said, lots of fun to be had that day. Smile, smile, smile. So Bill is on fire. He is lit up by the Lord and is intending to make his point about cannabis in the state of Indiana using the RFRA. Boy, that is a soap opera unending. I was going to try and see if we couldn't get him on the program, but I think that would be smart. So I got to go to the I got to go to the phone lines, the Candlelock No Smell Bags phone lines, and talk to Mish. Is this Mish? Hello.
This is Mish. How are you?
Hey, it is Mish. It's amazing how we can guess who's on the phone lines. I put on the Swami cap. Remember the old Carson show where he'd pick up the envelope and hold it up to his head? Hey, it's Mish. Hey, and then you have to see if it's Mish on the phone.
Right.
So I was right. The Swami got it right. We didn't even do a dress rehearsal, Mish.
Don't need one.
Listen, we were talking about Chicago. And there's some news stories erupting out of Chicago and Illinois because My Compassion's holding. What is the event called there, Mish? Out on the Navy Pier, come the 3rd week of the month.
It's called the My Compassion Cannabis Conference Chicago.
The My Compassion Cannabis Conference Chicago. See, I keep mixing it up with the other metaphors in the world. Canacon, I can't. It's hard to pull that back out and just make it stick for some reason. So and there's a lot of conferences that are happening around the country. The big difference is ours is the only one that's out there that's a medical forum and exhibition for the public to attend. These public exhibitions about marijuana, in many places they are controversial, especially in places like Illinois where this is all brand new fodder to them. They don't know what to think of it sometimes. You've still got the people in the closet hiding, saying, oh, God, if I come out there, they're going to know who I am. They're all paranoid. Should they be paranoid, Mish? Well, the problem is, and there's 2 very big issues that are that have created some of the issues for patients in Illinois. One of the biggest problems is the fingerprinting. That has probably shaken a lot of patients, and it also hurts a lot of patients along the way. I mean, the fingerprinting process is absolutely ridiculous. You would think that fingerprinting is a valid idea for dispensary owners and cultivation center owners because they're going to be involved on large-scale side of the cannabis industry. But for patients that in many cases are living on month-to-month incomes or Social Security, why should they be fingerprinted? Why should they be fingerprinted for such a small amount of cannabis in general? Well, and it's not even limited to them. It includes parents. It includes children.
epilepsy is the only condition in Illinois where children are allowed to utilize cannabis. So now the kids are going to get fingerprinted with their parents.
Well, let's see. I have a child with retractable epilepsy who has not been able to function as a human being because of the constant seizures. Somehow they've had an opportunity to figure out how to break into somebody's home and commit a felony, right?
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. And this is where these issues keep lying. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be very frank about this now. The people that are making all the money, and it is all about money. There is really no concern, in my opinion, on the patient, because majority of these moves and majority of these things that are being created are to block patients and such is creating another new almost prison system. Like you're trying to fill the prison system in other ways now. And in a manner of speaking, it's already tough enough to get a recommendation in Illinois. The doctors, regular doctors, are having a difficult time doing a recommendation. A family physician right now is going through the court system in Illinois, and he was raided. His facility was shut down because he, as a family physician, was not able to supply recommendations. The Illinois law is requiring that the doctors be specialists in those conditions for them to provide the recommendation. So if you have cancer, you have to go to an oncologist. If you have epilepsy, you have to go to a neurologist to get your recommendation.
Right.
You can't just go to a family physician.
Right. Sanjay Gupta, here I come. Got to see the big guy, the head honcho. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And who hurts from all of this? The patients. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of patients that could be lining up, and they're afraid. They're fearful. Well, and actually, we had a community meeting yesterday in Chicago in Evanston. We had Accurate Biometrics out there, was one of our sponsors, and he stated very clearly during his part of it, and he does fingerprinting for the state.
Listen, Mish.
The Fed.
Mish, hang on 1 second. We're hitting the commercial break. I don't want to interrupt what you're saying, but there's nothing I can do to stop the break. It happens when it happens. Let's pick this back up on the other side of the break if you can hang on with me. And then I want to talk about not only explore this question of patients and access and the number of patients registering, but what this means to the businesses that have to prop themselves up in advance of everything going on there in Illinois. More on that coming up in the program next. Hang on.
You're getting the full melt.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Alkaline water, herbal remedy, essential oil.
Sacred Elements.
Natural and organic shampoo, lotion, pain cream, bath salt.
Sacred Elements.
Beeswax candles and handmade crafts, canes and walking sticks, artwork, jewelry, and repurposed goods.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dordt Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
You know, it's not easy out there, but it can be easier. And when it comes to medical marijuana in Michigan and chronic pain management, Dr. Bob Townsend, renowned for his patient advocacy and deep understanding of how patients and medical marijuana certifications fit together, makes it his hallmark to educate and provide the best holistic treatment for your condition. His knowledgeable staff makes you feel warm and welcome, and Dr. Bob makes you feel well. With locations across the state in Cadillac and Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Marquette, Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Saginaw, Traverse City, you can't beat the convenience and feeling you get knowing you have someone on your side that cares. Denali Healthcare is on the web at denalihealthcaremi.com. Get answers to your holistic health questions or schedule an appointment now by calling 989-339-4464. Chronic pain management and holistic health answers is what they do. It's all they do. DenaliHealthcareMI.com. Get your certification and peace of mind now by making an appointment with Dr. Bob Townsend at 989-339-4464.
Get the beach bong ready for sunshine and sandy beaches in Negril, Jamaica this November as the High Times Cannabis Cup moves from Amsterdam to the Caribbean. Your trip starts with the absolute best rates on airfare, hotel, events, and all your Cannabis Cup travel needs at TravelCannabisCup.com. Come stay with us, relax in the sun, play in the sand, and smoke down with the cool people, man. Get to the High Times Jamaica Cannabis Cup. Best travel prices right now at TravelCannabisCup.com.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with Max Power Monster Aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
I've been counting on my steps, on my nose just turned to yes.
Hey, we're back on the Full Melt Show.
My troubled history is washed away.
There was a noxious gas thing that happened during the commercial break here. It's a little cloudy in the studio, I'm just saying.
Down is not where I belong.
I almost want to remove myself from the studio. It is that bad, the noxious gas in here, I'm just saying. Listen, I got to go back to the Canalock.com phone lines. Our phone lines are brought to you by Canalock Snow Smell Bags. Our guest on the phone, Mish. Mish, I have to, forgive me. I've known Mish for quite some number of years, and, you've got an unusual name as it relates to standard names. Can you tell us about your name a little bit real quick? Because I think it's important people get familiar with you. It's hard to do that if they're confused by name. How do you say your last name? Because, it's spelled in such a way as that you might be offended if somebody mispronounced it.
Yes. It's actually Amish Parikh, and it's not the Amish. It's Amish. It's actually from India. My parents are from India. I was born and raised here in the States. And, they call me a coconut, brown on the outside and white on the inside. So
say that again, your name, the way you pronounce it.
Amish Parikh.
Amish Parikh. Okay, there we go. So I had to get that right because, boy, it's one of those names that you could butcher 1,000 ways just by emphasizing the wrong thing and, long I versus short I,
on bad days, it can be called other words as well, so don't worry about that. I definitely get it.
I've been called worse. So this thing going, I think when you talk about Chicago, I think one of the glaring things that's happening in the news today is this idea that, if you're a guy that's investing in the infrastructure of the grow or of the dispensary, which are both expensive in way of licensing and construction and permitting, wouldn't you be a little bit shaken? I would be shaken to the core if I had every penny I had invested into one of these operations at great expense and with long expectation, and I saw the numbers only represented 2,600 people as we're getting ready to come online in that state.
They're all shaking right now, actually. They're all trying to figure out how to get more patients recommended, and it's just a really slow ride. And the reason why there's such a slow ride is a lot of the doctors are not interested in providing recommendations. They're not educated. They're lacking the knowledge in it. And, frankly, majority of the doctors are connected to hospital systems throughout Chicago. Majority of hospital systems are adamantly against cannabis. And the only ones you can really go to are the independent doctors.
It's such a freaky thing. You know, in Michigan, that marketplace was taken up by a lot of people who were saying, look, I'm a regular doctor. I'm a regular old doctor. Look, I didn't go to medical school to learn how to do cannabis. I'm just a regular doctor. But since I know that this person has a chronic illness and they're seeing Dr. X, and this person has another chronic illness and they're seeing Dr. Y, and here's a good friend of mine who I know is a qualifier under the program. They're seeing Dr. Z. None of them are seeing me. And none of those doctors will sign their recommendation because of their hospital associations or their threat of their employers firing them if they ever catch this in a patient record file. And so in Michigan, a lot of these guys said, look, I'm willing, if you want to come over here and see me under my normal doctor's circumstances, I'll sign your recommendation for you, given that I'm satisfied that it will be, have some efficacy for your condition, that you indeed do qualify. And it's a patient recommendation. It is not a prescription for marijuana, which is the mistake that Louisiana recently made in the wording of their bill, because I think that's going to get in the way, and it may have intentionally gotten in the way, because I think the people that insisted on that language being in the bill down there in Louisiana were adamantly told by other people, including from Michigan, here, look, you can't say, you can't use the word prescription in the language because this will prevent all doctors from writing them. And I think they were like, wink, nod, yeah, we know. Yeah, that's why we're going to make it say that. I think that's what's happening there, honestly. I mean, I don't want to get all lost and sidetracked on Louisiana, but it does relate when you're talking about these doctor certifications. So it's difficult to get a doctor's certification. I realize that the bar has been set high by the legislature, yes?
They have. They've really set it high, and the reality is, to all of this, is majority of these businesses and the associations that are out there are trying to figure out if they're going to go down the medical route or if they're going to go down the recreational route.
Well, and see, that's the other question. Doesn't the medical word get kind of drowned out by the beating drums of recreational pot across the country?
It does, and it's going to happen. I mean, that's why that's why we need to get back to the true word. The true word is cannabis. That's it. It's cannabis.
Right.
Why can't we just call it that?
Well, because
there's cannabis use that's meant for medical side, and there's cannabis use that's meant for recreational side.
And there's cannabis use that's meant.
Let's know that those are opportunities.
And there's cannabis use meant for the industrial side.
Correct. Absolutely.
There's a massive wave of this issue crawling across the country, and I think part of it, Mish, is that, and you have to agree with me, or maybe you don't. Tell me how you feel about this statement, that the use of the medical cannabis front to familiarize Americans with this issue, with this topic, so they can blow the boogeyman away when somebody tries to puff him into the room, because they understand. They already are straight on the facts on this. The boogeyman is really, a guy in a costume, isn't he? And so isn't it indeed the use of the medical patient in general across the country been used to prop up what has ultimately been leading towards this legalization of cannabis across the country on a broader note?
Everything is built on the foundation of patients. That's the one thing that everyone seems to forget. Whether the recreational movement was happening or not, it was still built on the foundation of patients, on sick, dying patients.
Well, there's two faces to that, I think, Mish, when I look at it. And that's this. Number one, there was no recreational weed getting done in the United States anywhere unless they took this first step of medical use, because they were the first ones that they could say had a legitimate, in many cases, dying need to have it, right? So they were to be the first people. If you're going to start a list of people that can have cannabis in America, they would be the easiest ones to convince to allow some access. But so I don't think you could ever just get from prohibition to legalization in one step. I think what had to happen in order to get some of the undying prohibitionist language to be met with fact, because most of it is not factual, most of it is conjecture, most of it is statistical twisting. It is definitely a propagandistic message, if there is such a word.
I agree with you on that.
And so, even though, like you said, you objected to the term of the use marijuana because it is indeed a pejorative word. I mean, it is intended to incite a certain feeling, a certain, distastefulness around it. Because originally in this country, that's what we did. If we would just reel back 100 years and we were talking about this same type of subject, we'd be saying the word cannabis because that's how everybody was familiar with it. Marijuana wasn't an oftenly referred to term. It was a slang term used by Latino people in Mexico, referring to this as a plant. And, this was openly used by, the people of Mexico for quite some time, and America too, for that matter, American Indians as well. And then we started to get into 1937. You started getting the marijuana stamp tax, the Marijuana Stamp Act. You get into that area in the late 1800s and then early 1900s, and they start saying prohibition. They started using the word marijuana as a way of using its evil connotation to lend itself to the prohibitionist messaging. I mean, this is very purposely twisted in this way to get people to stay away from it. It's to scare you away from it. Hey, if you smoke that stuff, you're going to get hooked on it. It's highly addictive. You know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what. It's just a lot of buoy. But the only way that you can get people to understand that for its real face is when they have some practical experience. And if it's not through their own experience, vicariously through a neighbor's, a friend's, a relative's, a family member's. Then when you get that experience and you start to see that, wow, they're not crazy, they're not addicted, this actually helps them. This isn't what they're saying it is at all. And when you examine it further and get further evidence from other people that you might know, again, through this medical program, when the boogeyman comes to visit and they start doing the prohibitionist messaging, you can actually laugh at it, right? Oh, God. See, we've gone into a commercial break again. Gosh, I hope you can hang on with me, Mish. I know you're real busy. But if you could stay with us, I want to stick through and talk about the other side of that face, the fact that medical patients, being the poster child to get legalization done, have been thrown under the bus by the legalists, the guys who want legal marijuana. That coming up more next.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Canalock.com. Visit Canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. PetPain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki,
Sacred Elements.
raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements.
Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dorr Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
Yes, I be your woman. Yes, I be your baby. Yes, I be whatever that you tell me when you're ready. Yes, I be your girl.
Say, just as a program note and reminder, on Wednesday of next week, Danny Danko from High Times Magazine, our guest for the entire hour of the program, or at least as long as we can keep him on the phone. Also, on the fullmelt.com, click on the iTunes link. It's easy to subscribe right there on iTunes. Back to the Cadillac no-smell bags phone lines. And Mish, I'm not going to say your name, Mish. I'm just going to say it wrong. I know I'm going to butcher it. Every single time I say your last name, I'm going to butcher it. I don't know why. Listen, Mish.
Parikh.
Parikh. There we go. I did put a mnemonic to that. Parikh. Okay. I think I got it now. You know what? You're not going to want to know the mnemonic I attached. I'm going to skip right by that. It has to do...
I told you that was the mnemonic you use on bad days.
No. It's actually, if you watch Game of Thrones. You ever seen the Game of Thrones?
Yes.
On HBO. So you know that guy, that character's name, Reek.
Mm-hmm.
So I just attached Pennsylvania to it. So Parikh. That's what I got. That's the mnemonic I'm going to use to remember your name, P.A. There we go.
Sounds good.
So, this business with patients, a lot of them getting thrown under the bus as we talk about legalization. In Michigan, one of the proposals being, touted in the legislature, and I guess maybe even threatened to the legislature, hey, if you don't do something about this, we're going to pass our own thing like this, is going to attempt to actually repeal the Medical Marijuana Act while they enact new legalization language. And that just is a slap in the face to all those people in wheelchairs and canes and walkers paraded before the Judiciary Committee members to say, look, we're desperately ill people. Many of us don't have time to wait around for you guys to F around with this. Please give us access to something that will give us some human relief. And now you're just going to toss all of that aside, all the protections, the things carved out for them, so carefully studied in work groups through the years, thrown completely away in favor in advance of people making money over marijuana. Your thoughts?
That's exactly the direction that this is going to be going. I got a chance to visit Colorado this past year, and I got a chance to see a very large cultivation center growing in Colorado. I was practically flabbergasted at what was heading towards Michigan. I really am telling you that the big boys are coming, and I mean the big boys are coming. They are coming, and they're coming with everything they've got. The reality is, we have patients. The patients were always the foundation for all of this, and I'm going to repeat it over and over again. Yes, they get paraded through. Yes, all of these things occur to make sure that the act that we have in place stays in place. But as we've seen, many states are starting to repeal that law once recreational law comes into play. Washington's done it. Oregon's doing it. It's just going to keep happening. There will be a medical side to it. The medical side is going to be through the pharmaceuticals, through the biotech companies, and so on and so forth. And I don't know if you listen in or read up on what's going on in the business world, but one of the individuals that was involved with the realm of caring, Josh Stanley, started a biotech company in New York State to prep for his up-and-coming license in New York State. And the name of his company, Sativa Medical.
Well, there you go. I mean, the Stanley brothers have an interest on the board in Florida that indicates some of the rules and regulations regarding access to medical cannabis in that state.
Correct. Absolutely. And it's all in the direction of biotech and pharmaceuticals, and there's a ton of biotechs popping up. And for the most part, because of what occurred on the NIDA website recently, where they publicized via a table of all of the strains that they have available to begin research on. And in that list, it said that biotech companies that had approvals from the DEA can start doing research on these products. They had 99 numbered strains listed on their site.
Well, these seed companies or these guys that are breeders. A lot of them ended up being made an offer that they can't refuse with regards to their catalog, and they're going to go ahead and have that stuff patented. And then anybody who's got a crossbreed with that, they just come and say, under patent and technology law, say, look, you got to this variety that you're growing in your garden belongs to us. It's ours. I mean, that plant is ours. Right. That belongs to us. It's no longer your plant. We claim genetic rights to it. The patent office says it's ours. That's a problem, isn't it?
That's the problem right there.
Well, so
you hit it right on the nail. It's no longer a plant. It's all about compounds and money.
No, it is.
What we should be approaching this plant as, what we should be approaching this plant as is a vegetable. Just like we always said it was, a vegetable.
Look, in its purest form, in utopia, this would be like strawberries in the backyard. You can grow as many as you want. Nobody gives a boo about how many strawberries you're growing. We just hope you got enough people to pick them, right?
Absolutely.
Same thing goes with taking it off the schedule of drugs list. Same thing goes with it should be free like vegetables. We don't tax food. Cannabis can be considered a food. You can't tax food. Stop it already. But the truth of the matter is this won't get leveraged back in that direction unless we take baby steps. These are some of the baby steps. First, medical marijuana. Then legalization in various and sundry forms until we can settle out of it. Something that everybody agrees upon is homogenous across the country like we eventually did with alcohol. And you've got this huge industry around alcohol. It does create problems, but alcohol is a different beast. This is why I'm saying it's bad messaging to say treat marijuana like alcohol, because alcohol is worse than marijuana. Why would you tie that albatross around your neck and trying to promote yourself as a safe product, to be used at will by responsible adults? I mean, I just think it's bad messaging.
Let's take it one step further. Let's stop calling it a sin then, because they're planning on charging sin taxes against it. If it's considered a vegetable and it's healthy and it's nutritious, why is it falling under the sin tax?
Especially if you're using it for medical purposes. It's not sinful at all. It's healthful.
Absolutely.
And the legislatures agree. So the bad messaging doesn't apply. It's just horrible, horrible stuff. It takes a long time. This has always been a battle of education. This has always been about educating people against the strongly ingrained prohibitionist messaging that is just got a stranglehold on this subject. Mish, let me just wrap this round full circle because we've only got a couple minutes left on the air, and I didn't want to leave out the nailing down thought as it relates to the event coming up here in a few weeks. The dates of the event happening at the Navy Pier in Chicago for your organization are, and we're doing a live broadcast there,
July 23rd through the 25th.
23rd, 24th, 25th. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, yes?
That's correct, at Navy Pier in the Grand Ballroom.
Okay, so now, wouldn't it be smart to get a number to start soliciting people in Illinois to come and have booths there to start registering patients across the board? Get all the specialists in one place, all the guys who have the ability to get it done, and get it done. Wouldn't that be a good thing?
It would be a good thing, but the problem is all the laws surrounding recommendations and what doctors can and cannot do. So what we're doing is we're bringing in very famous doctors from around the country, Dr. David Bierman being one of them. He was on Weed 3 with Sanjay Gupta, actually. He'll be talking about PTSD and cannabis. We also have Dr. Tony Bark, who was on Oprah Winfrey Show. She'll be there and talking about the nutrition side of cannabis. We're going to have Dr. Melanie Dreher there. She's a nurse practitioner who's going to be talking about women's health and cannabis. We have Dr. Elliot Levine, an OBGYN, who is very vocal about how cannabis helps. And he'll be talking as well on women's health and cannabis. We also have medicalreviewtv.com to come on out to do actual, in-person interviews, patient interviews on cannabis and whatever condition that you currently have and why it's helping.
Okay, so
they're planning on playing their show on Discovery Channel.
The music is going to start right now, and I know when that happens, it's going to drown you out, and you're going to have a hard time hearing what I'm saying. I just want to remind everybody, if they want information on this event or other happenings of My Compassion, it's mycompassion.org, right, Mish? Yep.
That's correct, mycompassion.org and mycompassioncanacon.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Mish Parikh, for coming on. Parikh for coming on the show. See, I used mnemonic technique. Game of Thrones did a lot for a lot of people, I'm just saying. We'll see you here again on Monday for the next The Full Melt Show.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.